G3's bio on X is a coalition of journalists, united under the cause of free speech and information access, but here I am on the blacklist writing this diss. I mean, I knew Musk had intelligence ties and was bought out, but I didn't think that's the route Aaron would have gone down. That's not how God made me, I'm devout. Not saying he actually has ties to the CIA or anything crazy, I doubt, but he is employed by Vigilant News, founded by the same dude who founded TWC, the wellness company, Foster Coulson, and then you have David Lopez, co-owner of TWC, former special projects manager at fucking Blackwater, notorious private mercenaries with ties to intelligence agencies and national security. David Lopez isn't just linked to Foster Coulson through TWC, but also Integro Capital. These two dudes are pretty close, you can say they're compatible. With Integro Cap, Foster Coulson is a CIO, David Lopez is a COO. Eric Prince of Blackwater just went on Tucker Carlson's show in May after I'd written most of this flow. It's funny since that's just validating suspicions though, shady ties between so-called independent journalists, mainstream media 2.0, looking stacked to sell out assholes. I'm glad I created PsyopDaily. I half did it because I realized you could forsake me. I needed something I control. I knew you've ghosted me before, and I guess that's what I was preparing for when I opened that door. I knew I couldn't keep putting in all the work on the ground floor just to be tossed aside like this, knowing it was a potential reality in store. You whispered false promises in my ear, kept saying you'd get Robert to transfer G3 ownership to me, kept making me think it was near, but I didn't put in the work for that expectation. I just wasn't expecting to be tossed aside for criticizing the Zionist genocide and expanded occupation, for believing in Palestinian liberation. You broke my heart, but not my spirit. You don't own my art, and you don't control my heart. And when it comes to the mind, the journalistic part, it seems you fear it when you realize that you couldn't steer it. Look, I'll keep going with a little more, but I do need to end this so I can put out more of my October 7th series detailing more developments of this so-called war. I wrote most of this before June 2024 when I published part 4. I just wanted to say that I've learned Aaron Nelson is a Zionist media whore. Look at how Vigilant News has covered this crime war. The way you're serving demons, Aaron, you should write a grimoire. I know the wellness company is basically paying for your dinner. That's a fucking kicker. That's why you never acknowledged how the independent UN investigation into October 7 Israel is trying to hinder. I guess that's the UN's war on Israel you're talking about, oh so sinister. I know for your family that you're trying to be a breadwinner, but if you enable family killers to build up more pillars, then what did you even win for? Think about the bigger picture. I mean, the Zionist empire is already effectively bigger than Hitler's, and you want to help build it bigger? Now I know why you kept asking me to consider if I was wrong on this Israel issue. You had already begun to differ, realizing you'd have to change your views to match your surroundings like a shapeshifter. You're a sellout to the highest bidder, employed by bootlickers. The way you went 0 to 100 on me got me bitter. I hardly even discussed this to anyone, let alone on Twitter, but at this point I want to speak my truth. Most who hear this won't know the work I've put for G3 News, but I know you do, Aaron. You're familiar. You know for years I've been putting in my dues, hours a day, every day too. The way you kicked me over Israel out of the blue was fucked, dude. You're a bitch. You must think you're slick shit. Now I know why you suddenly decided to release that hit piece on Riley Vuyovich. You were wanting to distract from your employer's critics. You know, I know who your employer is. It was right there in front of me, yet at the time I somehow missed. I mean, it was literally when you announced the hit piece on her. It was in Robert Malone's comments.
Enough of this TWC business, let's talk about the pedophile at Children's Health Defense.
I shouldn't have been a yes man, and I need to repent. You didn't want to ruin the woman's life until it was your opportunity to prove that you're with it. Being an exploitative loyalist, narcissistic egoist dressed up as an altruist. So to assist, you went for the hit and painted her as a pedophile for the post she made as a fucking kid. The ironic twist is I think it's far more likely that it's your employer that's fucking kids. With all the ties to intelligence in Israel, wouldn't be surprised if Foster Coulson's on Epstein's list. Would explain why everything he touches has to consist of Zionist. Those that aren't have to up and switch. TWC advertising cures, but I know that's where the poison is. villainous. Full of snakes, venomous and villainous. Full of shit, vigilant fox is a toilet lid. You forgot to flush. I saw the shit when you got me pissed and I went to reminisce. Saw the context of everything and now I feel like I need forgiveness. Pieced together your lies bit by bit as I went back and poured through our conversations, contextualizing sus shit with the present tense. We have some unfinished business. I bet you're fidgeting as you listen to this. I dug up those Riley tweets, which you were fine with for sitting on for months, until Malone began attacking TWC, and by extension, its affiliates. Explains the Riley stunt. Your employers were panicking at the attention, looking for a way to diminish it. That's why you suddenly found it appropriate to release a hit. It was all crickets until you needed to deflect, distracting the thicket of criticisms and ties to intelligence. Israeli Zionist shit. Genocide it feels like you're complicit in. Thinking back on canceling and destroying a woman's life for tweets she made as an adolescent, for the motives of defending a bunch of Israeli intelligence connected henchmen. It makes me sick. I feel like that's how you end up on God's shit list. I think we both need to be asking for forgiveness.
It's me, Big Bad Riley. To me now, it's 100% obvious that there is a compromised alternative media psyop within the health freedom community. I'm 100% convinced there is a push to infiltrate, manipulate what used to be a nonpartisan health freedom movement into this militarized imperialist narrative that achieves like taking all of this dissent on this huge momentum that's been created from opposition to what was happening, the authoritarian forces during COVID. Obviously, they're going to send their agents in to try to control that. The Maha movement and what's happening right now, I mean, they want to get everyone on board with like getting Trump elected, and then like that's like they're like, okay guys, we can kick back, like everything's gonna be fine now, we don't have to fight anymore. The second purpose I think is like to identify those who actively like oppose this narrative and to strike them out from having any influence in the movement whatsoever. I knew the health freedom movement before COVID. What we saw with like all of these big shot head honcho like pundits just come in and kind of like take over the narrative, that was already kind of sus to me. After October 7th happened specifically, I noticed like these people who had amassed public followings like in this space out of nowhere were all of a sudden in lockstep supporting this, the mainstream Israeli narrative. And like I knew something was up. I was a production manager at CHD-TV at the time and Polly was on the bus. So I was like pretty much left on my own to be in charge of like what content went out and what didn't. When that happened, we had a bunch of guests and hosts come onto CHD TV who came on to tell us they were going to be talking about COVID things and then just would go on rants about how this is a spiritual war for the West, like against Islam and against terrorism. As the producer of CHD TV, like I took it upon myself to block content like this from airing on our platform. I see what's going on here. I'm not going to let you guys use us for your propaganda. There was this one host we had, Ilana Rachel Daniel. She created an episode for us after October 7th. At the end of the episode, she said that global jihad was coming for our tree-lined streets. Really disturbed me. I said, the fuck no, this is not airing. I told her that this would not be airing on CHD TV. She sent an insane email to Bobby Kennedy about me. She screenshotted a bunch of my personal tweets, crowdfunding for a Palestinian friend that I have whose son was vaccine injured. She took screenshots of all that stuff, claimed that I was creating an unsafe atmosphere at CHD for Jews. So Bobby forwards that to the board members. She sent 2. I was called onto an emergency board meeting on December 24th, Christmas Eve, to basically fight for my life and say why I wasn't a rabid anti-Semite who was hateful towards Jews at CHD. My job at CHD TV was to ensure that the content we put out was in line with our mission. They all agreed with me that we shouldn't air this episode. And so when I explained that to the board, they cleared me and they said, Riley, like this is nonsensical. You were just doing your job. And there were Zionist agents really trying to get me fired over Christmas break. That was 2 weeks before the article came out about me. There is something really evil going on right now. I do forgive you for not knowing who you were aiding at the time. I hope we can maybe form a happy friendship maybe in the end of this, like maybe it was always meant to be like this.